Hi, I'm Skylar Astin, and you're watching In Studio with The Hollywood Reporter.
Can you please explain to me the concept behind Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist?
Yeah. Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist follows Zoe Clark, who is a tech person at kind of a startup, like a Google almost, and she one day has an MRI while there's an earthquake, and a crazy phenomenon happens while the music is playing in the MRI where her brain kind of glitches, all the lights kind of light up, and then on her way home she realizes she can hear people's innermost thoughts through song.
People are singing to me. Mo, an entire neighborhood just sang a whole Beatles song to me.
As Max, her best friend, how many musical performances should we be expecting from you this season?
I'd say there are some where I sing two, there are some where I sing none. But I think on average, I'd say probably one per.
Right.
One per ep.
And
I sing opera.
Whoa. I was going to say, you have an extensive knowledge of music. Were there any songs that surprised you, or were there any performances where you actually weren't familiar with the person? Yeah,
well, I probably am not allowed to say certain songs, but I got to sing a boy band song, which is very exciting. I got to sing an opera song, which was also very exciting. And I had to kind of dig into more of my technique, even though it was a comedic moment for my character. I'm like gonna sing it, obviously, the way it should be sung.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of fun. I'm trying to think if there were any other challenges. And I'm not saying there weren't. I just think that it's just the typical challenges of putting on a musical show where you have to learn the choreography and pre-record all the music, and all of a sudden you're in this like theater factory, and you're like popping out musicals on a weekly basis. Because these things stage musicals take years and years to develop, and we were doing one per episode, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and explain to me, because you do theater, you do movies, you do television. Can you explain the difference between putting together a song and dance number with choreography and music in television versus theater? Because I assume that the experience is very different.
Yes, and this has even been more different than other TV or movie musicals that I've done.
How?
Well, obviously the camera adds everything, so you're not performing
besides
just
10 pounds.
Exactly. Anyway, so like a lot of times when I've done stage musicals, it's obviously performed out for the entire audience, whereas this, we're trying to adjust it to camera and see what works. But with this, we tend to do these really long Steadicam shots that are basically oneers. So there's a fun thing where we don't cut away from a scene and there's just now a song happening, and then I sit back down and we're back in the scene again. And it needs to have that seamless ethereal transition for our tone to work musically.
Yeah, how does that feel on set when you kind of have to nail all the choreography and then just go back into the acting? Is it like a celebratory moment when you get to say cut? And
I love it. Well, first of all, Mandy Moore is our choreographer, and her entire team dance, as we call them, is like they're incredibly supportive. And I love when we do musical numbers because they're on set and they're such a wonderful energy, and they always clap after every take, which is fun. They give little adjustments, and we have kind of an inside line. And then I hear what the director has to say, hear what the cameraman has to say to make certain adjustments. So it's definitely like a work in progress, but when we get it, it's so satisfying. And it's happened every time. I mean, we're done with season 1, and we actually did a very ambitious sequence to end the season. That is a very, very long take. And it's an entire musical number with, I think, pretty much the whole cast.
That's the thing to look forward to.
So yeah, we're going out with a bang for sure.
Yeah. How are you jealous of anybody else's performances?
Stuff.
I noticed that Lauren Graham gets some great.
She gets some bangers. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I know Michael Thomas Grant did an Al Green song, and I was like, that's awesome. But honestly, I'm so excited for everyone. Like everyone really gets to spread their wings on this show, and that's exciting. I'm so excited for people to see Lauren Graham sing, and to hear Mary Steenburgen sing, and to know, and me and Alex Newell, that people are more familiar with us singing. But then there's some new faces that you haven't heard of that are going to blow you away, and like everyone has their own energy that they bring to their character, and it's really a good group.
Okay, look at me. This is it. Work your magic, feel the glory, in it to win it. I don't know why I'm I'm nervous.
So tell me a little bit about Max compared to Jesse from Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
Like, how did you play those two characters? How do they compare?
Yeah, well, Max obviously is a little older than Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
but like I think that Max kind of starts off in this low ambition place that Jesse doesn't have. Jesse like wants to be a hero all the time, and just like has like this abundance of confidence. Where Max, I don't think has that. Maybe with Zoe he feels comfortable, but he's really like doesn't have any like hopes and dreams, and especially when we meet Max and like. When we get to know him throughout the season, that kind of starts to develop, and we get to really kind of have a coming of age story with Max. So I think that that's really cool. I think Max is like secretly really smart. Not to say Jesse isn't, but I think they both have a similar like earnestness and charisma, but there are definitely differences.
So I would like to play a game with you. Can we play Skylar's Extraordinary Playlist?
Yes, for
Okay,
sure.
excellent. I'm going to give you an emotional event, and you tell me
A good song?
what you would be breaking into song with.
Oof. Okay.
What song would be playing if you wanted to pick up a friend who's depressed?
Maybe Better by Khalid. Nothing feels better than this. Maybe. Pharrell's Happy is for no reason in my head. I don't know why I'm seeing The Lion King in my head, but I can't find an actual song from it.
This is a good stream of consciousness.
So
that's
yeah, this is
happening.
how I think, if you can tell. Sometimes I'll just like see a color and like, nah, and that's not at all an answer to your question. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to it, but right now
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Khalid Better.
All right, I like that. You got a movie role that requires you to put on 20 pounds of muscle. What's your training montage
Rocky.
song?
Rocky War from Rocky IV. There's a song that I used to listen before all of my baseball games actually, and it's really corny and really 80s, but it is like I can literally do the entire like all the trumpets and the violins. I like know it all by heart. It's like 8 minutes long.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's
Excellent.
epic. Check it out. War. Yeah.
Excellent. You find out someone has smashed into your parked car and didn't leave a note.
Like I'm seeing obviously the Lemonade thing where Beyonce smashes somebody's car. Why is I Just Can't Wait to Be King? No, I'm kidding. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Of course, I'm seeing like Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats, but that's not applicable. Again, another like baseball into windshield moment. F You by CeeLo Green, right?
That's
Is
great.
that problematic? No,
Great,
it's
I
a
love
good
it.
song.
You have a nice positive twist on
Yeah,
it. And it's
yeah.
like, I like it's a positive song that's actually angry. It's like
Yeah,
fun but angry.
yeah. I mean, because we have an audience to uphold here. Yeah, yeah.
Your parents tell an incredibly embarrassing story about you.
Okay, well, I ate a nickel when I was younger, and they had to fish through my poop for several months to get it out. So that's true love, as my mom always says. And like, yeah, it was so awful. Am I going further in this story? I guess when I'm like 5 years old, I have to go into my parents' room and be like, I went. Like, are we now? Let's start the awkward thing and the gloves. It's awful. So
what's
thank
the
you.
song that embodies that?
Oh my God, Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo by from South Park.
Perfect.
We'll make it like Christmassy and fun because like we can't lean into it, then it goes like it gets upsetting.
Okay, last one. Your friends throw you a surprise party at your favorite restaurant just because they love you.
That's amore. Like I imagine it's at an Italian place. I see like my New York friends there and like my family there, and it's just like we're like leaning right into the Italian of my heritage right there.
Okay, so last question to you.
Mm-hmm.
When was the moment when you knew that you wanted to be a musical performer? Was there a moment?
Yeah, there is. My first musical I ever did was Godspell. I was coming from like an athletic background where I never did a play before. And the entire rehearsal process was kind of a culture shock for me because I just, like theater kids are so expressive and, you know, I obviously grew to like love them, they're my people,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like at the time I was just
first it was-
wow, they're so, yeah, it's so different than all of my other friends. And just all the lines I had to memorize and I was just so consumed with the minutia of putting on a show. And my director, Tim McDonald, who I still keep in contact with, he was my first director ever, he had this moment where he wanted me to come out, like when the curtain comes up, there's an empty stage and just the ghost light in the middle. And he wanted me to be dressed as the custodian of the theater. And he wanted me to kind of broom out, you know, the area and kind of look around and notice people in the audience. And he's like, I want to make sure that you like make eye contact with at least 5 people before you start your monologue. And then as you do your monologue, the outfit comes off and you become this leading character that you will be for the rest of the play. And at the time, I had no idea why he's doing this exercise, because I'm doing it to an empty theater, you know, in rehearsal. So I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first line. But on opening night, and I know this sounds corny, I saw like my aunt, I saw someone from my community, I looked at a stranger, and like slowly understood the relationship between like performer and audience.
Yeah.
And it was so brilliant of him to do that. And and he didn't explain why, and he didn't spoon feed me the purpose, but it was in that moment throughout the rest of the play where I had that thing that you can only really get through theater, and sometimes in certain scenes on TV or film where you completely lose yourself in the character. And there's this weird thing where you kind of have a daze and you're there, but you're not there, and you come off and you're like, whew, that was amazing. I wasn't thinking at all. And I had that for the entire performance, and that was a feeling that I could never replace.
Skylar, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Check out Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist on NBC.